Kentucky. Brooks Houck is charged with murdering his girlfriend at the time, Crystal Rogers. She disappeared on July 3rd, 2015. Today, we had the most incredible cross I think I've ever seen. A cross-examination of a witness for the Commonwealth against Brooks Houck, against his co-defendant, Joey Lawson. Will it change everything? I don't know. We'll have to talk about it. That's what I want to talk about today for our lunch live. It's a huge change in what has gone on up until now. The evidence is pretty strong as far as turning out the air conditioner. This may be hard because it's really hot here, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I heard that sometimes that can block the noise a little bit. All right, so yesterday, I mentioned that we had a really strong witness, and this all fits together. And the strong witness talked about some of the tactics used by the police who tried to make him tell this story. So he had this really bombshell information that the mother of the defendant, Brooks Houck, Rosemary Houck, asked him if they could maybe find somebody to take out Crystal Rogers, to maybe get rid of her. And he said, well, I'm not the one to do that, but, I'm sure if you got enough money, you can get just about anything done. So at that point, he said that testimony, but the story behind that, about how the police got that testimony, came out on cross-examination. And it was really strong about how he was in jail for 4 months and charged with lying to the grand jury, and about how then he was brought out to talk to 2 detectives, and more or less they cut him a really good deal right then and there and said, if you, tell us this, what you know about Rosemary Houck, then we will, or I guess anything related to Crystal Rogers, if you will come out and tell us that, then what we will do is give you a really good deal. You can just serve what you've already served, you'll get out, and you don't have to serve any more time. Today, way more than that. Way more than that. But that was good, but this is absolutely incredible. So the witness on the stand is a woman named Heather Snellen, and she had dated at one point Steve Lawson. And you may say, Steve Lawson? He's not even on trial. Why Steve? Steve is the father of the defendant, Joey Lawson. Steve and Joey together are charged with having gotten rid of the body of Crystal Rogers, and that they were complicit, involved with Brooks Houck in somehow. It's not really clear. The Commonwealth doesn't know how the murder was committed, but Brooks is charged with murder. They're charged with lesser offenses. So I don't think it's really hot. I think we're going to have to turn on the air conditioner just a little bit. I'll try to make it quiet. And maybe I can turn it off if it cools a little bit. Okay. So this witness, Heather Snellen, dated the father, Steve Lawson, who has already been tried and already been convicted. Thank you, Truth and Transparency. I appreciate that. All right, so they this witness had bombshell testimony that came out on direct examination. One thing she talked about was this long, convoluted story about how she shared a car with Steve Lawson, and she had it after they broke up. Apparently it was in both their names through Capital One credit. And so she kept the car and was making the payments, and he stole it back since he had a key and his name was on it too. And then that night of July 3rd, she stole it back. All of that plays into some important information about where the vehicle was and how it pinged and things like that. But what she dropped into the trial, the amazing piece of testimony that she had, was she said that she overheard, while she was living and dating Steve Lawson, she overheard Joey Lawson talking with his dad, Steve Lawson. She's dating Steve, and they are talking about, I overheard Steve Lawson and Joey Lawson talking about moving a body at the Houck farm with a skid steer. Huge, right? I mean, that is pretty direct. Overheard them talking about confessing to being involved in the crime itself, in the murder of, presumably anyway, Crystal Rogers. So at that point, it's looking really good. This is super important testimony that could just make the Commonwealth's case. But I'll try turning it off since I'm a little more, I'm a little less hot right now, and I know you can hear better. Okay, so up on cross-examination, and let me tell you why it was so amazing. I have seen many great cross-examinations, really strong ones, where there is a witness who is contrary to what the attorney is trying to say, and the attorney can prove with, say, documents or other people's statements or interviews, some kind of piece of evidence that they're lying and say, isn't it, you said this, isn't this true? This was different because that's very oppositional. That's the attorney saying, this is what you say, but you're wrong, and attacking them. Very different here, because what was done here was he literally turned the witness around so that he and the witness were, this is the defense lawyer, were moving in tandem. They were agreeing about this, and they were both appalled by the treatment that she received from the police. And his narrative as the attorney was, her testimony came out because she was brutalized by these police detectives. And the reason she did this and said any of this is solely related to the way she was being treated at the hands of the Kentucky State Police. And it was unbelievable. Oh, good. Someone is saying it doesn't interfere with hearing. I would really like that one little bit of air conditioning. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate that. All right. So, and he went through kind of a chronology. And I'll go back. There were 4 different interviews that this woman had given with various agencies, particularly the FBI, up until now. At none of those had she mentioned overhearing this conversation between Joey Lawson and Steve Lawson, where they admitted things. So that up until now, it's been just talking about her taking the car, the back and forth with the car. So the reason she came in at all was she wrote them and said, I have a little piece of additional information. She comes in and she says, I did want to mention to you that a few weeks after Crystal disappeared, Joey Lawson said to me that he wrote me saying, I'm trying to look for where I was on July 3rd. Do you remember? Do you have any information about that? And so she said, I wanted to tell you that. I wanted to add it. I've been drunk and a drug addict, and I'm sober, and I want to get everything straight. So, okay, that's already, a change. But when she got there, according to what this went through, at 1 hour, took it by time, and she said, more. And things like, you need to reflect on whether you want to raise your little boy. And she said repeatedly, I don't know anything else. They're saying they will take your child away and give you a felony. Yes, she's agreeing with that. And even so, you're saying, I don't remember anything else. This is all I have. And at one point, the police say to her, when people say they don't recall anymore, that means they're lying. They continue to threaten her. At 3 hours, the police officer begins beating on the table, screaming at her, calling her a liar, and she has a panic attack. At 2 hours and 20 minutes, they say, I don't care how involved you were. I don't care if you pulled the trigger to kill Crystal Rogers. You aren't going to jail today, assuming, of course, that she told them the truth. And I wrote that maybe the best cooperative cross I've ever seen. I was just at this point, and it just was amazing. It was really a work of art. I won't say who. They're entitled to their privacy, but they work for one of the big networks that would cover a lot of trials, and they said it was a privilege to watch that. That was remarkable. Thank you, Mama Bird. I appreciate it. I may have missed somebody, and I'm sorry. I think I saw another one. I'll try to find it. All right. So he says, they didn't stop there. Nope. And, he had her reliving the experience of sitting there. And she is crying. And she was apparently, excuse me, she was crying also while she was actually in the interview. And they played a little part for the jury, which really couldn't be heard by people in the audience, and said, 4 hours and 13 minutes, it was over 4 hours. They say, I don't want to have to take your little boy from you. And they said they could charge her with tampering with physical evidence. Where that came from is that text message she originally wrote them saying where Joey had written her. Apparently, when she got sober, she deleted all of her messages with people from her old drug life. And so included in that, she deleted the messages with Joey Lawson, who had, according to her, been her drug dealer. And so she deleted all of those, and she didn't have them. She just said, I remember it. So they said, well, that right there, that's tampering with physical evidence, so we could charge you for that. And after this interview, she writes them back and says, I hope it's clear with my statement that I don't know anything. I tried to tell you everything. It felt as if I was being pressured into saying things that were untruthful. I didn't quite get that full quote. There was a little more to it. Unbelievable. And the question is this going to change everything for the trial? What is the jury thinking about this? I have never heard anything like this before. And the other people also involved with regular, trial and trial coverage were like, what? I've never heard this before. It truly looked terrible for the Kentucky State Police, and we did not get a lot of pushback from the prosecutor. He got up, did his redirect, and he basically said, well, are you telling the truth today? Did you really overhear this? And she said, yeah, I really overheard that. So I am going to be unpacking. There's a lot more to what she said, and she's just one witness. Today has been unbelievable. I'm trying to keep my lunch lives really short so you can just get a quick update. But I really want you to come tonight about roughly 7 p.m. Central Time. I'll be going live and I'm going to unpack the whole day. It has been an action-packed trial. And today is the most important day so far because we are suddenly seeing a big shift. We are seeing a change in what I think maybe in how people are perceived. And just to give you an idea of how much more there is to unpack tonight, we may have a murder weapon that she actually talked about something she found. We might have that. She might have told about more evidence. You absolutely have to hear it. So tonight we will cover all of that, and I will look forward to seeing you then.